we can continue to take birth after birth after birth. That's not a problem. We've been doing it for practically from time immemorial. But we're not finding, if we study this life, we're not finding that we're happier and becoming happier. We find that actually we're suffering. If we just trip over, we can just easily stub our toe, and we can get so much pain from these bodies. 5,000 years ago, there was a great disturbance. Many things can be understood at that particular point in time. It's the start of a new age. Now, the particular age we're in now, the Kali Yuga, is known as the Iron Age. Now, this Kali Yuga started 5,000 years ago when Lord Krishna departed after bringing Bhagavad Gita as it is and establishing religious principles. When he departed, that was when Kali Yuga started. Kali Yuga has symptoms of, it's the age of quarrel, hypocrisy, unfortunate, misguided. These are some of the symptoms and qualities that are found in the age of Kali Yuga. When we enter into the material world, we've chosen to act independently. It's our choice. So there is, you know, karma. Karma, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So this law of material energy is there. It affects us, not just as we may see an action and reaction. Karma carries from lifetime to lifetime. We may perform an action in this lifetime, and most certainly it will carry on to the next lifetime. The body we have now has been created, designed as it were, in our previous lifetime. As we're acting in this lifetime, according to our desires, our next body is being created. So we will go on in our future birth to another body, just as we've taken this body. As a civilization, we shouldn't be killing, for instance, the cow. The cow is given us very nutritious substance of milk. And as children and as old men, we need milk. But no one's seeing how that cow is suffering when the cow is then taken to the slaughterhouse. Many's the time that the animals will resist going into the slaughterhouse. They know they're getting slaughtered. And you see them in great anxiety. And that anxiety and fear goes into the meat, and then people are eating that. When we go to the supermarket and we choose to buy a nicely packaged piece of meat, we're not seeing what is behind that. So as a society, if we really want to be advanced, we need to see how we live. And if we're living in such a way, according to our tongue, we're following the dictates of our tongue, then we're doomed to go to hell. And our karma is that we will then take birth as that animal. And then we are going to be slaughtered, but not just once, continually. So this is how we are creating our own suffering.
So in this age of Kali Yuga, are we destined to become wrapped up in a prison of material luxury and suffering? Are we doomed to pass negativity onto our future lifetimes? As technology advances further and further, will we become distanced from our spirituality, our spiritual practices? Or is there hope for us to maintain our spirituality and recognize our position in life?
To make spiritual advancement, you have to go beyond the rituals and come down to the point of you and the Lord. And the Lord is situated right there in your heart. And it's a matter of surrendering to Him again. Why? Is because we exist with Him and we chose to leave Him. So by surrendering to God, we no longer become subject to the material energy. So everything around us is depending on our actions. So if we want a peaceful society, the best way for peace within the world is simply to surrender to God. Then adjustments for everything take place. Sarva karana karanam. The Lord is in control of everything. We are choosing to be independent, so we're having to accept the reaction in society. There are so many problems, particularly now, so many problems. And as Kali Yuga progresses, it will get worse. But if we choose to surrender to God, and all it requires is simply Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, calling upon the Lord and His holy names. By doing this, if we do it individually and collectively, the whole planet will change. There will not be any need to make any other adjustments.
This inner motivation for wanting pure love means that can you give pure love? And what is that? And it's not so easily available unless you're really, really open with your heart and you're not thinking about anything for yourself. That's real discovery. So I'm discovering that.
So when we choose to come into the material world, we have chosen to take it upon ourselves responsibility for our independent actions. We've chosen to be independent, so we have to then accept the reaction for every action we do. So you have war, but actually the wars, ultimately we're responsible for them. Then some people may say, well, how come God allows children to die, or children to suffer in a fire, or people to be born in a deformed body? How, if there's God, how can He allow that? But the reality is that we are the ones responsible for that ourselves. Now, certainly the Lord is creating all the facility for us to enjoy and suffer according to our actions. Yes, everything is under His control, absolute control, but it is our own independent actions as independent creators that allows all this to take place. And ultimately, the Lord, after explaining how the material energy is working, He gives us a choice, which we always have a choice. And that is Sarva Dhammam Parityajya Mamekam Saranam Vraja. Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mukshiyishyami Masuchaha. He says simply abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me, Aham, and I will protect you from all sinful reactions.
I never knew that Krishna was God. I didn't know who God was. I thought, I don't know if I'm ever going to fit in. I don't know if I'm ever going to fit into His scheme of things, God, because He's probably living in some big palace. Who am I? You know. But then when God was so, as I opened the book and it was explained just with a picture, and I know it's a picture, but it was presenting it in a lot of detail who God is and who God looks like. And it seemed very accessible and very real, like a friend, as opposed to some authority figure, you know, throwing down bolts of lightning and just having a merry old time with anybody he wanted just because he was having a bad day. So I couldn't work out that kind of God. But this God seemed a real person. This teaches you what real genuine love is. So they don't teach that in university. And that's why many girls and boys are upset with each other. But if they really did explain the PhD of love, then we'd be a lot more happier.
The Lord says, if patram pushpam phalam toyam yomi bhakja prayachati tadaham bhaktuparitam ashnami prayatatmanaha, that if one offers with me, with love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, fruit or water, patram pushpam phalam toyam, then I will accept it. And what's the requirement? Just love and devotion. That's what Krishna's asking. And why? We may say, well, why do we have to have devotion? Why do we have to? We don't have to. We can stay in the material world. But our actual relationship, where we're really the happiest we can possibly be, and that happiness is far beyond anything you will find in the material world. Real love does not really exist in the material world. It is a spiritual thing. And spiritual emotion is very real. That when you experience that, you will become stunned and ecstatic. Our material vision, we can't see properly, but we develop our spiritual body. As we practice, we become more aware of things on a spiritual level.